Over the years, I've spent 14,436 pesos replacing batteries on this e-bike. The original factory-installed battery pack lasted only 16 months. The first replacement battery pack lasted about 20 months. The second lasted about 21 months. Then in August 2024, after replacing the batteries a third time, I decided to try something different and installed a battery balancer or equalizer. Today, nearly 22 months later, that battery pack is still running and still showing no signs of wearing down. Was it luck? Was it better batteries? Or did the balancer actually make a difference? After nearly 6 years of owning a lead-acid e-bike, replacing batteries 3 times, troubleshooting battery problems, getting stranded, and experimenting with battery balancing, I've learned a lot about what actually matters when it comes to battery lifespan. In this video, I want to share that journey with you. Back on November 14th, 2019, I bought this red Johnson e-bike for 52,500 pesos. At the time, it wasn't our family school service. It was mainly used for grocery runs, errands around town, and the occasional family joyride. For our needs back then, it was perfect. 3 wheels for stability, a roof for protection from the sun and rain, passenger seating in the back, front and rear baskets for carrying groceries and everyday items, and most importantly, very low operating costs. Even today, despite the money I've spent replacing batteries, operating an electric vehicle is still significantly cheaper than constantly filling a gasoline or diesel vehicle with fuel. Like many older e-bikes, this one uses 4 12-volt lead-acid batteries connected in series to create a 48-volt battery system. Back then, I didn't think much about batteries. As long as the e-bike moved, I assumed everything was fine. That changed in March 2021. That's when I had to replace the original battery pack for the first time. The replacement cost 5,300 pesos. At the time, I considered it normal maintenance. The shop handled the replacement and life moved on. Then, in 2022, after 2 years of lockdown from the COVID pandemic, face-to-face classes resumed, and suddenly, the role of this e-bike changed completely. It became our family's daily school service. Every weekday, I used it to bring my kids to school and pick them up. Their school was only about 1 kilometer away from our home. That doesn't sound like much, but because they had different schedules, I found myself making multiple trips throughout the day. Midday trips, afternoon trips, and even errands in between. 5 days a week, week after week, month after month. The workload increased dramatically, and that's when battery life started becoming much more important. Then on November 26, 2022, I had to replace the batteries again, another 5,000 pesos. By now, I had already spent more than 10,000 pesos replacing batteries. The motor was still fine, the chassis was still fine, the body was still fine, yet the batteries remained the biggest recurring expense. And that's when I started asking myself a question. Am I really getting the maximum life out of these batteries, or am I replacing them sooner than necessary? The answer wasn't obvious. Because one of the first lessons I learned was that battery deterioration can be surprisingly deceptive. Most e-bikes only provide battery bars or a simple voltage gauge. The problem is that both can be misleading. When the e-bike is parked, everything looks healthy. The battery bars appear full. The voltage looks normal. Everything seems fine. But the moment you start driving, the story can change completely. I experienced this firsthand. The batteries could be fully charged. The dashboard could show a healthy battery. Yet after only a short distance, the e-bike would begin losing power. Acceleration became weaker. Performance dropped. And sometimes the battery indicator would suddenly fall after the vehicle was placed under load. That's when I learned something important. A battery should never be judged only while sitting idle. The real test happens under load. The battery has to move the vehicle, carry passengers, handle acceleration, climb hills. That's where weaknesses reveal themselves. In fact, there were several occasions when weak batteries stranded my wife. One incident stands out more than the others. She was with both of our children on an uphill road not far from home. The e-bike simply didn't have enough power to continue. I rushed out to help them and immediately realized I wasn't prepared. I didn't own a tow cable. I didn't have a recovery rope. The only thing available was a garden hose. So I improvised. I tied one end of the garden hose to the front frame of the e-bike and the other end to our car. Then, I slowly towed my wife, my kids, and the e-bike back home. Looking back, It was both stressful and memorable. Today, it's a story we can laugh about. But at the time, it taught me an important lesson. Battery problems don't always happen conveniently in your garage. Sometimes they happen when your family is depending on the vehicle. That experience motivated me to understand battery health much better. At first, I relied heavily on a digital multimeter, and a multimeter is extremely useful, but I eventually learned that it has limitations. One of the most frustrating moments in my troubleshooting journey was seeing batteries that appeared healthy on paper. I would measure approximately 12.5 volts. Everything seemed reasonable, yet the e-bike clearly wasn't behaving normally. Performance was getting worse. Power was dropping. The symptoms didn't match the numbers. The more I investigated, the more confused I became. Then I started performing more realistic tests. I noticed that many troubleshooting demonstrations raise the rear wheels off the ground and apply throttle while measuring battery voltage. I tried similar tests myself, and what I discovered was interesting. To begin the experiment, I raised the rear wheels off the ground. But before anyone points it out in the comments, I should mention that I had already secured the e-bike beforehand. I placed a wheel chock against the front tire, engaged both the front and rear handbrakes, and made sure the emergency brake was fully engaged. Safety first. Only after everything was secure did I proceed with the test. With the rear wheels suspended, I released the emergency brake and disengaged the handbrake connected to the rear wheels. Then, it was time to turn on the e-bike. The batteries had just been fully charged, so this represented a best-case scenario. As expected, the battery indicator showed a full charge. For the first test, I selected third gear and applied full throttle. The rear wheels spun freely, the motor sounded healthy, and the battery indicator, it remained at 100%. At first glance, everything appeared perfectly normal. Next, I wanted to see what was happening at the battery level, so I connected a multimeter directly to each battery and monitored the voltage while the motor was running at full throttle. Once again, the results looked encouraging. The voltage readings appeared healthy. Nothing immediately suggested a major problem. I even tested the entire battery pack. With 4 batteries connected in series, I expected to see at least 48 volts. The reading came back at 49.4 volts, which initially gave me confidence that the batteries were still healthy. Unfortunately, that number alone wasn't telling the whole story. The batteries often still appeared healthy, the voltage readings looked normal, but there was a problem. The motor wasn't actually doing meaningful work. The rear wheels were spinning freely. There was no vehicle weight, no passengers, no incline, no meaningful resistance. In other words, the test didn't reflect how the e-bike was being used in real life. The e-bike never stranded my family while sitting on a repair stand. It stranded them while carrying passengers uphill. So I decided to test the batteries under real-world conditions. And that's when I made one of the most important discoveries in this entire journey. I connected a multimeter directly to the batteries, one after another, and observed their voltage while actually driving the e-bike uphill. One battery in particular caught my attention. While parked, it measured approximately 12.77 volts. At first glance, it appeared healthy. But the moment the e-bike started climbing, that same battery dropped to around 7 volts. 7 volts! That's a whopping 6-volt drop in voltage under load. That was the moment everything started making sense. The battery wasn't simply weak, it was collapsing under load. Then I performed a similar test on the entire battery pack. While parked, the 48-volt system measured approximately 51.1 volts, which was perfectly normal at full charge. Again, everything appeared healthy. But under load, the entire battery pack dropped to as low as 39.7 volts. That's an 11-volt drop. That's 8 volts short from the required 48 volts to power the e-bike. Suddenly, the mystery was solved. The e-bike wasn't suffering from 4 bad batteries. One weak battery was dragging the entire system down. That became one of the biggest lessons I learned. A battery pack connected in series is only as strong as its weakest battery. And that's exactly why battery diagnosis can be so challenging. At this point, I also learned something else. Voltage does not equal battery health. A battery can still show acceptable voltage and yet perform poorly under load. That doesn't mean the multimeter became useless. Far from it. If a fully charged battery settles noticeably below its expected resting voltage, that's useful information. If voltage collapses dramatically under load, that's useful information. The multimeter remains an excellent troubleshooting tool, but it simply doesn't tell the whole story. And that's what eventually led me to another tool. After completing the battery replacement and continuing my research, I purchased a Lancel Micro 500 battery tester and analyzer for 1,142 pesos. I bought it because I became frustrated trying to reconcile healthy-looking voltage readings with poor real-world performance. The analyzer allowed me to evaluate battery condition more directly. Instead of simply asking, "What voltage do I have?" I could start asking, "How healthy is this battery?" That was a major shift in how I approached battery troubleshooting. Eventually, it became clear that the existing battery pack had reached the end of its useful life. So, on August 19th, 2024, I ordered a new set of batteries online. 4 Dongjin 12-volt batteries. The total cost was 4,136 pesos. And this time, I decided to replace the batteries myself. I removed the battery housing, disconnected the wiring, removed the old batteries, tested the new batteries, charged them using my hot-speed intelligent charger, then wired everything together and reinstalled the battery pack. At this point, most people would consider the project complete. For me, it was just beginning, because during my research, I kept encountering discussions about battery balancing. The concept immediately caught my attention. My e-bike doesn't use one large battery, it uses 4 separate batteries working together as a team, and over time, those batteries may not age at exactly the same rate. Some owners believe those differences contribute to reduced battery performance and shortened battery lifespan. The proposed solution is a battery balancer. After reading reviews and comparing options, I chose the LHNY-BE201, designed specifically for 48-volt systems. One reason I selected it was because of its positive reviews. Another reason was practical economics. I wasn't looking for a miracle product. I wasn't looking to redesign the e-bike. I simply wanted a cost-effective way to potentially get more life out of the batteries I was already buying. The balancer cost 2,355 pesos. Compared to replacing battery packs repeatedly, I felt it was worth the experiment. Another lesson I learned is that battery balancers are not universal. The balancer must match the battery system. My original e-bike uses 4 batteries connected in series. Because of that, the balancer uses 4 pairs of red and black wires. Red for the positive terminal and black for the negative terminal. Each battery receives its own connection. The first pair connects to the first battery. The second pair connects to the second battery. And so on. Just as importantly, the voltage rating must match the battery system. A 48-volt system requires a 48-volt balancer. A 60-volt system requires a 60-volt balancer. So on August 23, 2024, 4 days after installing the new batteries, I installed the LHNYBE201. I secured it using silicone tape and fastened it to the battery pack. The installation itself was straightforward. The challenge came afterward. There were no indicator lights, no display, no screen, nothing that immediately confirmed it was working. So, once again, the multimeter came out. By measuring voltages across the battery pack, I was able to verify that the balancer was functioning. It was actively redistributing current to equalize the voltage across the 4 batteries. Then came the hardest part: waiting. Battery life isn't measured in days, it's measured in months and years. So I continued using the e-bike exactly as before. Daily school runs, multiple trips each day, regular charging, real-world use, no special treatment. Then, in August 2025, I started realizing that our family's transportation needs had changed quite a bit since I bought this e-bike nearly 6 years earlier. My kids were getting bigger. Even their school bags seemed to be getting bigger. The old e-bike was still doing its job, but I was starting to run out of seating capacity and storage space. And with the additional weight came the need for more power as well. So on October 14th, 2025, I decided it was time for an upgrade. I purchased a larger e-bike for 85,000 pesos. This one uses a 60-volt battery system made up of 5 batteries, has a higher 52 amp-hour capacity, and is powered by a 2,500-watt motor. Basically, it has 3 times the power than my old e-bike. It also seats up to 6 people on 4 wheels, includes an uphill assist feature for tackling steep roads, and comes with a roof rack and 2 underseat compartments that provide much-needed cargo space for school bags, groceries, and everything else that seems to accumulate when you have kids. As much as I loved my original e-bike, this newer model simply fit our family's needs better. And by the way, if you'd like me to make a separate video about this e-bike and the upgrades I've already done to it, let me know in the comments. I think there's enough material there for an entirely separate project. At that point, I could have sold the old e-bike. Instead, I gave it to my good friend Chris. What's interesting is that Chris uses it very much the same way I did. He also uses it as a daily school service for his children. Its workload didn't suddenly become lighter. The e-bike continued doing exactly what it had always done, and that's why I still pay attention to it. Because the battery pack I installed in August 2024 is still there. The battery balancer is still there, and everything is still working. In fact, this battery pack has become the longest-lasting battery pack I've owned on that e-bike. Can I prove the balancer is responsible? No. There are too many variables. Battery quality may have helped. Charging habits may have helped. The balancer may have helped. Or it may be a combination of all 3. But I can tell you this. I became convinced enough about battery balancing that when I bought my second e-bike, one of the very first upgrades I made was another balancer. My new e-bike uses 5 batteries, connected in series to create a 60-volt system. Because the battery configuration is different, the balancer also needed to be different, so I purchased the LHNYBE301 from the same brand and the same online store. The cost was 2,969 pesos. However, unlike the old e-bike, I don't have footage of installing this balancer, but I installed it for the same reason. To give the batteries the best opportunity to remain balanced over the long term. Looking back, there is still one upgrade I would like to make. A proper state of charge meter. Most e-bikes only provide battery bars or a voltage gauge. The problem is that both can be misleading. A voltmeter measures voltage. An SOC meter estimates remaining battery capacity. Those are 2 very different things. An SOC meter can show 80%, then 79%, then 78%, regardless of whether you're parked, accelerating, carrying passengers, or climbing a hill. That's information I find much more useful, because every e-bike owner eventually asks the same question: how much farther can I still go? And that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned after nearly 6 years of ownership. Every tool answers a different question. Battery bars provide a rough estimate. A multimeter tells you voltage. A battery analyzer helps assess battery health. A battery balancer helps maintain balance between batteries. And an SOC meter may eventually become the next step in understanding what's happening inside the battery pack. The batteries will eventually wear out. That's unavoidable. But if I can delay replacement by months or even years, the savings add up. And for me, that journey started the moment I stopped treating batteries as a mystery and started understanding how they actually work.